There are going to be times in our lives where God tells us to move, but the path is not clear. There are many stories in the Bible that we see where people just move by faith and not by sight. Because if they moved by sight, they would move because of how unclear the path is, because of how much they don't know what the outcome will be, and so they are scared to move, even though God is telling them to move. There's a story that I really enjoy, and I pray that it gives you courage. I pray that it gives you the boldness to move by faith and not by sight. When God says move, you will just move. You won't worry about what the path looks like, whether it's rocky, whether things will turn out the way that you want them to turn out. It does not matter, because God has told you to move, and so you've got to move. We rarely ever see women asking for land or possessions in the Bible. The first time we see women asking for a share of land is in the book of Numbers. There was a census taken of all men over 20 years of age among certain Israelite clans. This census would determine how land would be divided among those men. In verse 33 of number 6, we see that Zelophehad had no sons, only daughters. His daughters weren't able to get part of the land that was divided because it was only divided among men. These daughters' names were Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah, and they went before Moses and boldly proclaimed, "Let not our father's name be lost to his clan just because he had no son. Give us a holding among our father's kinsmen." These young women moved when God told them to move. They didn't know if they would be thrown out of their home because of their boldness. They didn't know what the outcome would be, but they moved. They moved when God told them to move. And so Moses then spoke with God. And in Numbers 27, verse 6, the Lord said to Moses, "What Zelophehad's daughters are saying is right. You must certainly give them property as an inheritance among their father's relatives, and give their father's inheritance to them. Say to the Israelites, if a man dies and leaves no son, give his inheritance to his daughter." These young women did not shy away from making their needs known. They knew that they served a powerful God who would provide for them because they had seen him work in delivering the Israelites out of slavery. These young women were a part of that journey. They were part of that suffering and that struggle in the land of Egypt. And they saw how God was a pillar of fire by night and a cloud by day to shield his people, and how he brought about plagues so that they would be set free. They knew that they served a mighty God. They knew that they served a mighty God. And so when he told them to move, they moved. And I just want you to remember today that you serve a mighty God. A God who was able to free you from anything, any kind of bondage, any situation that is burdening your soul, your household, your finances, any situation. Sometimes we forget God's goodness, and these girls were seeing day after day after day after day just how amazing God was. And so if you are able to remember not just the good that he's done for you, but the good that he's done for others, remember that you serve a mighty God. And so when he tells you to move, it is not in vain. He will not forsake you. He will be with you, just like he was with Zelophehad's daughters. They knew that their destiny was not fixed and that divine justice had not abandoned them. They knew that God wanted them to have a life and to have it abundantly. Sometimes it's hard for us to move when God tells us to move, because we've forgotten all that he's done for us in the past. Sometimes we forget that he's a good father. And so we shy away from moving when he tells us to move. I pray that as you hear this message, that you'll truly listen to God telling you that He wants you to move when He tells you to move. I pray that you will trust when He says, have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. No matter what mountain you'll have to climb to get to what you want, God will be there with you. I pray that when you're faced with obstacles, that you will remember God is for you in every imaginable way, and that He is for you for all eternity.